Hey friends, Ram Man over here at the Ram Man Inc. I wanted to talk about the Dodge front axles and the hubs, spline hubs and locking hubs. Here's our problem with the original design. Here's our Dodge front axle 2006. Here's our unit bearing with our spline hub. There we go. So, this unit right here, it's under an extreme amount of force. Not only is it doing an outside rotational load, carrying the weight of the vehicle, it's also having to deal with an inside rotational load also. So, we've got the rotational load right here, the wheel and the tire, and we've got an internal load by the axle, which is all fine and dandy, which is not that bad. It's like typically like the rear axle on a normal vehicle. But here's where we run into the problem with a full-time spline hub or full-time four-wheel drive. Remember now, when you're going down the highway, we'll say, this is spinning at about 1700 RPM. I want you to visualize this spinning at 1700 RPM. Number one, you've got all the drag that you don't have to have. Number two, this U-joint is constantly under wear and tear all the time. So it's wearing out before you even use it. But the main thing is the deflection force. And this is why the Dodge bearings are wearing out prematurely. The Ford people, they don't have any complaints. They don't not replacing these every 60,000 miles or 100,000 miles. They're not replacing ball joints all the time. Forums aren't filled with people replacing bearings and ball joints. Ford uses locking hubs. So this is wanting to spin. It's like something being in a lathe or an arrow or a bullet. It wants to stay straight. So every single time that this steering is turned off of center, every single time you're putting a side deflection force on the inside of the bearing. In other words, you're beating the inside of the bearing to smithereens, because this wants to stay straight when it's spinning. It doesn't want to do that. And so, makes it harder to steer, requires more force on the steering pump and the steering gear, and it also affects the ball joints and wears them out prematurely. This thing wants to be right here. So whenever you turn it, which is all fine and dandy, you're trying to turn it that way, and the axle shaft is trying to put it back center. So you're trying to go there, and the axle shaft's going right there. So you know what takes the brunt of that? The two ball joints. That's exactly right. So, in a little bit of a recap, the gas mileage, 1 to 2 miles a gallon, that's just an added benefit. What you really got going on is you're decreasing all that wear and tear. What we've gone and done is we're using Timken bearings. And these are greasable Timken bearings. You can grease them right here through the ABS port. So, when they're unlocked, all you have is a rotational load. So, we've gotten rid of the internal rotational load. We've gotten rid of the deflection load, because this is just sitting here. And if it's just sitting here stationary, you don't care whether you move it or turn it. Doesn't care one bit. Neither do the ball joints. So that's the design flaw. So that's the big benefits of locking hubs. Plus, the U-joints are not under any load. So, you know, your U-joints are going to stay new forever. You drive your truck 100,000 miles and then you really get buried in something and you really need to get out. You know what's first thing it's going to pop? That old wore out U-joint that's got 100,000 miles on it. That's what's going to pop and fail. So that's a brief overview of the positive things of locking hubs. So when you get down to a free spinning hub, a Timken hub, considered the best in the world, and a greasable Timken hub, gonna be real honest with you, they're very polite people. Most mechanics and techs know the only reason a Timken bearing fails is from neglect. And what that means is you didn't frickin' grease it. Be good, happy Mopar, God bless America. Hope this helped you out.